Yes, sister, most welcome.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
I'm asking from the perspective of a teenager. Today it's very common to have people so-called falling in love. And I would like to know that how do I convince my Muslim friends who have so-called fallen in love to go about and how to refrain from falling into the vices of staring and stuff like that. And the second question is that if the girl or guy is virtuous, then how should I ask them to go about?
Sister has a question that now it's common amongst teenagers and among the friends that they fall in love. So how can she convince that falling in love is wrong? And what if the girl and boy are virtuous? Correct? That's the question.
Yeah, I mean if the girl likes the guy and the guy is virtuous, or the guy likes the girl and the girl is virtuous. Without haram activity, that is telling or anything like that. Just liking the girl for her character, modesty and stuff like that.
First thing that normally when teenagers fall in love, normal style, so how can you convince it's wrong? And on the other hand, if they are virtuous, then is it allowed without staring, without haram, is it allowed or not? First, the general category of falling in love, how does it come about? It comes about by breaking the hijab level. It's not like that, sometimes wonder, why has this girl chosen this boy? The boy is so ugly. And so, this girl is so ugly. So it is when you talk, you start liking things, it may be weird. So therefore, interaction, too much unnecessary interaction between the opposite sex is to be prevented. Not that you can't speak, but if you speak to opposite sex, you have to lower your gaze. So all these things happen because of not following the hijab level. Maybe the girl is not wearing the proper clothes, Islamic clothes, or the boy is not wearing. Or maybe they're wearing Islamic clothes, but the clothes per se is not only hijab. That is one aspect of hijab, the extent. The extent, it should be loose, it should not be glamorous, it should not resemble the opposite sex, it should not resemble the non-Muslim. Besides the clothes, the way you talk, the way you walk, the way you behave, the way you think, all this comes into hijab. Just by wearing a clothing hijab, and if you don't talk properly, how are you? Very good. There should not be too much compassion. So automatic, whether you're wearing hijab, how are you? There's so much of depth and so much of modulation and so much of love in the voice. The talking is not Islamic. That doesn't have to be stern always, it has to be normal. Same thing, the way you walk. You may wear a hijab and you may not walk properly. The way you think. You may wear a hijab and you may stare and you may think, kya acha hai, or kya achhi hai, whatever it is. There's bird watching going on in schools and colleges. So talking, walking, thinking, heart, niyat, everything put together. So when the hijab is broken in any of these aspects, there are high chances that infatuation will come. And that's how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our creator, Almighty God has made us. If you keep on talking, opposite sex, and nothing happens to you, then you require a psychiatrist. If you keep on talking often to an opposite sex, and say, I talk but nothing happens to me, then you require a psychiatrist. Something has to happen. There's something wrong with you. If you follow Islamic principle, lowering the gaze, saying to it be in the hijab level, then nothing happens, that is fine. Then you're a normal human being. You keep on talking, hello, hi, shaking hands, comment, pinching, everything goes on. So these things, that's the reason then you fall in love. Now, in these cases, in colleges and schools, the criteria for love is far away from the Islamic criteria. 99.9% it is not virtue. If it was virtue, one of them would have stopped. Maybe he is virtuous, but not very virtuous, but alhamdulillah, better than the others, and yet he may fall in love. That's possible. He may not be able to tempt the feeling. If the hijab, the girl or the boy has a little bit lowered, and they get into that infatuation, attraction, and yet they may be virtuous, but not totally. There's nothing like love before wedding in this sort of cases. So there's nothing like LBW, LBW you have in cricket. Nothing like love before wedding in Islam. Therefore, I always say, it is more important to love the girl you marry than to marry the girl you love. It is more important to love the girl you marry than marry the girl you love. We have these Romeo and Juliet, Laila, Majnu, Shiri, Farad. And people say that if Laila, Majnu or Romeo, Juliet would have married, would have come to know what is the problem, they would have had in married life. So it's always more important to love the girl you marry than to marry the girl you love.